Something that I want to address is a certain desire for control that people have. It's not just control, it's a pathological desire to control almost every single thing, either in their own life or in the life of another human or even the animals. So for example, the other day I was reading online about this lady who keeps her cats at home, and when people were questioning her, why is it that you don't let your cat out? She said, well, because if my cat goes out, then she won't come back. She was like, well, I used to have a cat, and then I did let her go out, and then she never came back. And I'm not going to do that again. It's dangerous for cats outside, so I'm just going to keep her inside. Do you realize the pathology here? Do you realize how much of a control freak you have to be to go out and say, hey, I know what's good for you, and what's good for you is to be my prisoner. Yeah, outside is dangerous. Don't go. You might get eaten up by bigger animals. Something dangerous might happen. So I know what's good for you, and what's good for you is to stay at home, be my prisoner, and I'm not going to let you out lest you run away. And this is the mentality that the woman had, and a lot of people were kind of agreeing with her that, for cats it's dangerous, but listen, for humans it's dangerous too. You see people walking at 2 a.m., middle of the night. You think that's not dangerous? And yet that doesn't stop us. That doesn't stop us from pursuing our freedom, so to speak, right? The world is inherently dangerous. That doesn't mean you should keep somebody or some being as a prisoner because it's safe. You can't keep a bird in cage and say, yeah, it's a dangerous world out there, you better be my prisoner. This is not how it works. You have no right to control someone's future, to take someone as a prisoner, and then somehow convince yourself that you're the good person here, while keeping a being as a slave, as a prisoner in your own home. So people have this pathological thinking, a lot of people, with regards to animals. But then this is the type of thinking that some people also have with humans also. So you see, for example, people start dating, let's say a guy starts dating a girl, and then he starts controlling her. You can't go here, you can't do this, you can't do that. One thing you fundamentally have to understand, and this is something that you really have to grasp and swallow, is that you actually cannot control another human being. No, it does sound strange, right? That you can't, for example, if you're dating somebody, you will tell them, okay, I don't want you going to a club, I don't want you going to bars, etc., etc. Even though these may be the preferences that you want, in my view, it's a mistake to forcefully tell another person what to do. Because all that's going to do is, if they really want to do it, they're going to do it behind your back anyway, first of all. And second of all, if clubbing is what they want, why are you forcing them to be with you? You have to give people complete freedom. Okay, you want to go clubbing, you want to go to bars, you want to go get drunk, do whatever, go ahead. Go ahead, you see the door is right there. Go open the door, close it from the outside, and then go. You fundamentally have to give her or anyone complete freedom. And then if you don't like the way she is behaving, if you feel like she's not respecting you or whatever, then you leave. Then just leave. Pack your bags and leave. Why are you out here with somebody who wants to do something else, and then somehow you two are together, and then you're forcing her to do something that she doesn't want to do? Why are you keeping somebody a hostage? Why are you keeping her as a prisoner? Give her the full freedom, and then see how she acts. And then if in that case she's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna go do these things. If she decides not to do the things out of her own will and choice, then that means more compared to you just forcing her to not do these things, even though she secretly wants to do them. Right? The idea is that if you have a bird, you cannot keep her hostage in a cage. You can't. Not only you can't, right? Like you actually can't, but you also shouldn't. It's not right. It's not right to keep somebody hostage in some sense. So the idea is that this pathological desire for control kind of needs to stop, I think. Like there are people who just want to control everyone that they're in a contact with. Like it could be their children, it could be their partner, it could be their animals. Like these people are control freaks, and I don't know what they're trying to accomplish by controlling so much. And in some sense, control is a masculine quality because life in its own, the universe, life is chaotic. It's absolute chaos. So if you want to make any progress in life, you have to assert a certain level of control. So for example, if you want to build muscles, you have to control your diet. You have to control your lifestyle. You have to control your schedule. You have to make sure you go to the gym every day. So like control in some sense is good because to make progress, you need control. But some people, I don't know if they've been traumatized by the chaos of life or by the spontaneity of life. I don't know why, but they become these control freaks that they just want to control everyone and everything that's around them. And being around such people is dangerous. It's a mistake. And there's a lot of people out there who think that, I mean, I just said the example of an animal. They genuinely think that it's better to keep an animal hostage in their own home than to let the animal go and live its life. Like they actually believe that. They believe they're the good person here. That they're doing the right thing. But the right thing, in my view, would be to let the animal live its life. Let the animal go outside. The animal was not born to be your pet. The animal was not born to just eat that cancerous food 3 times a day and then provide you the affection that you lack in life. Go get a partner. Why are you keeping this cat hostage? Let the cat go live its life. Let the cat go meet other cats, hunt, yell at other cats. I don't know what cats do these days. Let it go and live its life. Why are you keeping it hostage? Why are you keeping your bird hostage? Let it fly away. And it's not just with animals, it's just with humans too, or like with children. Like my father personally never told me what to do. He never told me what to do. He said, if you want to learn English and go abroad and study, you can do that. But if you don't want to do that, that's also okay. You can come to Moscow with me. We can do construction work. It's going to be a hard life, but it's your choice. If you don't want to do that either, it's also okay. Just sit at home and do nothing. This is your life, you decide. I'm not going to tell you what to do. My father's father never told my father what to do. My grandfather, paternal, never told my father what to do. So he also never told me what to do. And then you meet sometimes some people and this pathological desire for control just makes no sense. In my view, it's some sort of a mental disorder. To desire to control someone that much is some sort of a mental disorder. I'm not saying that you should let your partner, for example, do anything that she wants. And then be okay with it. For example, if she goes and, let's say, cheats on you with somebody else, yeah, she has the freedom to do that, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay. What I'm saying is that you should give people complete freedom. This is their life, this is their choices they have to make. Give them the complete freedom, do whatever you want. And if the choices they make don't sit well with you, then you just pack your bags and leave. That's what I'm saying. Instead of just going there, holding them by their neck, and then forcing them to like do or not do certain things. Why are you forcing someone to do something? Why are you forcing people to behave in a certain way? Let them fly away. Let them do as they wish. Because if you force them to behave in a certain way, if you force them to do or not do certain things, then all that's going to do is reinforce sneaky behavior behind your back. That's all it's going to do. If you want an honest reflection of who she is, you should let her free. Set her free and then see how she behaves. If you like the way she behaves, then you stay with her. Otherwise, you leave. There is no need to go and control people and put a chain around their neck. That's not the way to live. Of course, that's easier said than done because jealousy comes in. But this is something that fundamentally certain people need to keep in mind. That you cannot and you should not control another human being. You have to give people complete freedom. And this goes to certain parents too. Like, I remember back home, there were some parents who had only one child. And when their child got accepted to a university abroad, they were like, well, I'm not going to let you go because you're my only child. What if something happens to you? You know, being abroad is dangerous. What if something happens? What's going to happen to us? Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is the ultimate level of control. This is a pathology. This is not normal. This is a pathology that needs to be dealt with by some psychotherapist or by the people themselves. This is not normal. Who are you to control your child's life? What, do you think you're a god? That you can just decide if the destiny of your child is to die at the age of 22, then he's gonna die. Doesn't matter if it's in your hometown or if it's in Paris, France. You have no choice here. You cannot control your child's life. You cannot tell them, go here, don't go here, do this, do that. You have to set them free. If they got accepted to a university abroad, okay, let them go and study. What are you, some sort of a divine being that's going to control everyone around you? You can't. It's dangerous in your hometown too, and it's dangerous in Paris too. You have to let the bird fly and find its own destiny. Why are you keeping your children hostage? And this has happened so much in my hometown that every time I think about it, it kind of pisses me off. But then people think that this is normal. They're like, oh yeah, he's the only child, so it kind of makes... No, it doesn't make sense. This is some sort of a freak behavior. Trying to control somebody's life by holding them by their neck. That's the kind of behavior this is. This is not normal. And you see this in all aspects of people's lives, right? With animals, with their partners, with their children. Like this desire to control every second of their life. This cannot be good, right? This is, if you're one of these people, then you really need to reevaluate your life. Not just your life, but you need to reflect on these things. Do you have the right to control, or do you not have the right to control? In my view, you have no right to control somebody's life. No right. If a certain person wants to behave in a certain way, then you should let them behave in that certain way. If your girl wants to go to the club and dance, you cannot do anything. If you don't like that, then you should leave. But you cannot go force some people, tell them you can do this, you cannot do that. You have to give people ultimate freedom. And if in their freedom they decide to respect you and be with you and stay with you, then that's good. Then you know that their love is genuine. But if they're only behaving in a certain way because you force them to behave in that certain way, then how do you know if their actions are genuine? What if they're just behaving in this certain way because they don't want to lose you? But their heart desires something else. Their heart desires going and doing things that maybe you wouldn't like. So in the beginning, I think you shouldn't tell people what you like, what you don't like, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with. In my view, you should just let people do what they want. You should give people the complete freedom. And if the way they behave doesn't sit well with you, then leave. And this goes with friendships too. Like sometimes you meet people and, You just have to watch how they behave. All you have to do is watch and observe how they behave. And if that doesn't sit well with you, then you cut off the friendship. That's all. That's all. You just cut off the friendship. Instead of going there and then forcing your friends to behave in a way that sits well with you. Why are you forcing people to behave in a certain way? If you don't like how they behave, then just leave. Who is forcing you? Did they tie up your hands and put a tape in your mouth? No. There is no restrictions. Leave. If somebody disrespects you, leave. If somebody's behavior doesn't sit well with you, leave. Instead of going there and then being a control freak and making them act in a way that doesn't sit well with that other person. For example, it's not in the nature of a bird to sit in a cage 24/7. Do you understand? Yeah, it may sit well with you. You're like, oh yeah, I want to have a bird at my house. Sings a song or two for me every now and then. It's good for me because I get lonely, I have nobody else. So it's good to have some sort of an animal, some sort of a living being. But it's not in the nature of a bird to sit in a cage. And it's not right. Fundamentally, it's not right to keep a bird in a cage. When I was young, there used to be this kind of a rich businessman who used to go to these stores that sell birds, and then he would release the birds. He would pay the price for the bird, he would buy the bird, and then he would release them. And one thing that guy understood was that it's not right for the bird to be in the cage. It's not in the nature of the bird to be a prisoner in a cage. And that goes with cats too. If a cat wants to go outside, you should let it go outside. Yeah, there's danger, it may die, some things may happen, yeah, but that's life. There is danger in my life and there's danger in your life too. Every time you go on the road, there's a danger you might crash into somebody else and die. And yet that doesn't stop you from going to the road, does it? Despite the danger, you still go because it's a necessity. Freedom is as necessary as breathing. And so you cannot go and take the freedom away from the animals. You can't. And you also cannot take that freedom away from the humans. You can't. This is something that some people have a hard time of understanding. That freedom for some people is as necessary as breathing. Not just for some people, actually for everyone. Freedom is very important. But then, I don't know, you see people sort of controlling things left and right, and this is something that doesn't make sense. In some sense, I think what's gone wrong is that people spend a lot of time and work very hard to find the right person, so to speak, or like the person that they think is the right fit for them. And then once they find out that this person is actually a living being and not a slave and not some toy, that this person also has other desires and wants to do other things, then they somehow won't like that. Because one thing that you have to fundamentally understand is that love seeks to possess. This is, you have to understand. Love wants to possess. Love is like fire. Now look, fire can be good. You can go like cook eggs, make some chicken, get some protein, that's good. But if you don't control the fire, it will burn an entire country down. You see in California, forests burn down, so many acres of land. Fire, it is in the nature of the fire to consume and possess and destroy. It's a very destructive force. In my view, love is an equally possessive, consuming, and destructive force. When you fall in love with another person, at least at the initial stages, in some sense you're consuming the other person, you're possessing over her. And so this desire for control, I think, comes fundamentally from the nature of love. Right? Because if that person stops being with you or like spends another evening with another man, and then you start getting jealous, right? So love is possessive like that. And in my view, you kind of have to control this. Just like you control fire. Because if you don't control this possessive nature of love, then sooner or later you'll find out that this love of yours, this fire that you had, has burned your partner down to her very ashes. The only thing that's going to be left of your partner is her ashes, because you consumed her so much you burned her down to ashes. Just like a fire wants to consume and burn and go forward. Love is very similar to that. And so you kind of have to control these things. You can't be unconscious about the destructive force of love. The other day I was reading this book by Goethe, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, this German writer, who is kind of a very important writer in the history of German thought. He is to German literature what Shakespeare is to English literature, or what Dante is to Italian literature, or what Pushkin is to Russian literature. So he's a very important thinker, and he writes in his book, he says, I think it was Faust that I was reading, he says, love that is most profound is very calm. Love that is most profound is very calm. So the idea is that if you profoundly love someone, not some sort of an attachment, not trying to possess over them, no. Love, if your love is very profound, then you'll actually be very calm. You won't want to possess the other person. You don't want to control them. You don't want to control every single thing that they do or every single person they hang out with. Love that is most profound is very calm. Right? So that's something we need to keep in mind. And so that's just something to think about for people who wish to control, is that it's a pathological desire. You really need to be careful. You have no right, and you actually cannot control another human being. Even if you wanted to, you can't. Because then they're going to be sneaky and they're going to do these things behind your back. So that's just something to think about. It's just something to think about. And if you're one of these people, then you really need to reflect. If you're controlling your animals, your partner, or your children, you really need to reflect. Do you have the right to control their life, or do you not? I think you don't. You have no right.